briefly mentioned like what you need to get into the house. Talk about a little bit about pre-approvals, why it's important. Talk about for your standpoint why they're important, when you should do it, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the preliminary side, before we start looking at houses, if you in your mind you might think, oh, I want a $300,000 house, but then it also comes down to having that consultation with your agent, making sure that it's within your comfort zone in terms of your monthly payment too.
Right.
So getting pre-approved is going to help you in the long term. I've had it happen so many times, and this is when I started to do these buyer consultations right away. That is step one, is the buyer consultation. Step two, getting pre-approved, because I've had it happen so many times where I've got clients that want to go see, a $400,000, $300,000 house, and then they're like, oh, I found the perfect one. Here we go. They're like ready to offer. It's like, okay, we need to get pre-approved first. You get the pre-approval back, and it comes back at $250,000.
Yeah.
Your pre-approval, what that number is, means that you're able to afford up to $250,000. So as soon as we get that pre-approval and they want the $300,000 house, they're not able to get it. That's the real downfall to it. And making sure that we're getting pre-approved. We're looking at houses that are within your budget, within your comfort zone, that we've already prepared for you.
Yeah.
Rather than the downfall when you do find that perfect property and it's outside your budget. I've had it happen so many times, and that's why it's so important. So if you kind of talk about that process, what do you need for pre-approval? What are those typical or normal things that we're supposed to be looking for?
The first things that we're going to talk about during a pre-approval is the three main factors that play into it. So your credit, your debt to income, and your assets. So essentially money for a down payment. Once we go through that, then we're going to fill out an application, run your credit. And then basically to validate everything you put on there, we're going to get your documentation, like 2 years of tax returns and W-2s, 2 months of bank statements, and then 30 days of pay stubs. Just to validate what you said and to make sure that everything comes out, you have solid numbers, your realtor has solid numbers, and you know exactly what you can afford. Because as much as it is looking at a purchase price, it's even more so being comfortable with the payment at that price. Comfortability trumps, a fancy house 10 times out of 10. Because if you were pre-approved up to $500,000 and you don't like that payment, there's no reason to even have that conversation.
Right, but it's not within your comfort zone, especially when on your first house. You don't want to go in there feeling house poor, right? House poor is essentially when you feel like all of your money is going towards the housing costs, and it's a drastic change. Say your rent was $900 and now it's $1,800. That's a big jump there. Even though you could afford it on paper with your pre-approval, it ultimately comes down to what you're comfortable with. And that's what we want to make sure that you have. The conversation with your lender is what we're basically looking at there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.